Welcome to the OT. I am Elise Jesse, and the Cincinnati Bengals, they have won 5 straight. They are looking for their 6th straight win. That's the first time stringing that many wins together since the 2015 season, where they went 8-0, started the year off that way. That was a lot of fun, and they're looking to have a lot of fun in December, playing great football right now. Of course, they do have those injuries, specifically Trey Hendrickson. No one knows if he's actually going to play on Sunday or not. Zack Taylor says that he is day-to-day. Tyler Boyd with the finger injury that he sustained last week. And they're going into the Bucs. They have a few injuries. I think the key injury, in my opinion, is Trey Hendrickson, because when you're going against a quarterback like Tom Brady, he's in his 40s. He's seen every single defensive scheme that you could possibly see in the National Football League. I mean, he's been in this game longer than most people on the Cincinnati Bengals roster have been alive. He's older than Zack Taylor. So in order to not fool him, because I don't think that any team can really fool Tom Brady, but I think the one way that you could affect Tom Brady is by bringing that pressure on every snap possible. And without Trey Hendrickson, of course, that's going to be a little bit more difficult for the Cincinnati Bengals to do. So highly important to bring that pressure defensively for the Cincinnati Bengals to get that 6th win in a row. I also think this could be another breakout game for Joe Mixon. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers ranked 20th in the NFL in stopping the run. Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, I mean, they've been playing really well. Both of them finding ways to get their touches and have an impact on the run game, also in the receiving game. So they could have big days. Either one of them could have big days on Sunday. And of course, Joe Burrow. I mean, he's playing lights out. So is DJ Reader on the defensive side of the ball. A lot of these guys are really playing some of their best football at a crucial time in the season, December. There's only a few games left. They're vying for that 1 seed. It's the Bills, it's the Bengals, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs vying for that 1 seed. Of course, the Bengals would have to win out, but that's not completely impossible when you look at the way this team is really gelling and playing in sync, playing together, and enjoying what they're doing and understanding mentally what is expected of them on the field. Well, I am going to toss. It's going to be an interesting show this week. I'll be completely transparent with you. The locker room times have changed for today. We will still be bringing you all of those big interviews from the players and everything, but it's just a little bit different as far as editing purposes go. So I am going to toss, though, to one of my favorite guests. You guys have met him before on this show, David Fulcher, one of the best safeties in the game to do it. He brings a lot of insight from a player's perspective, and he will be able to explain to us some of the situations that maybe we might not pick up on as fans, even if we are educated fans. He is able to really highlight and pinpoint some things that might stand out to him that might not stand out to other people. So here is our conversation. All right, David Fulcher, you watched what I did. You watched what the Cincinnati Bengals did against the Cleveland Browns. Defensively, they were playing in sync, in my opinion. What did you see from your standpoint? You've played the game. You've been in those situations that we watched Cincinnati Bengals players be in. What stood out to you watching Sunday's game?
You know, it's funny because, I kind of see what we had as a defensive team. Back in the 80s, 88 team, our Super Bowl team, our SWAT team. These guys are relentless. They are constantly making things happen. My MVP of the defense is Mike Hilton.
Really? Okay.
Mike Hilton, I'm telling you, he is the game saver. He is making tackles on big backs like Henry and Chubbs, and they were doing the necessaries. We've got an offensive football team, or a football team that is built around high-powered offense.
Right.
And I remember that same style of football that I had, high-powered offense with Boomer, Ickey, and Brooks, and Munoz, and Collinsworth, all those guys. And we was just the football team on the other side of the ball, the defense. And this defense is making a name for itself. And for them to go out and play against Cleveland the way they did and shut down that running game, Two different ball games between the two games, the Halloween game and this game. They were making a statement, and they showed Cleveland that they belong out on that field. And I think they showed everybody else that this is not just an offensive football team. We play defense too.
Absolutely. And I know that DJ Reader has said a few times before, they're the highest paid nose tackle at the time when they signed him in 2020. He said he doesn't really get the same respect around the league that maybe Cincinnati fans and coaches and his teammates show him. Why do you think that is? Because when I watch DJ Reader, he is consistently double teamed. He's fighting that off. And he makes one of the biggest impacts on this defensive line that you could possibly make, which is stopping the run and bringing serious pressure to the quarterback.
Well, I think it's because this is an offensive football team.
Okay.
Everybody's expecting this football team to score 40, 50 points, Chase to have 300 yards receiving, and Burrow to throw 500 yards every week. But nobody's paying attention to the defense. And as a defensive guy, you're looking for the pat on the back. Now, we don't really want the pat on the back because we're professionals, but it doesn't hurt to get that pat on the back. And I can understand Reader's frustration, but yet just keep playing football. I did a lot of things in my career that I was expecting them to say, "That a boy," and I didn't get it. And then I started saying, wait a minute now, I just had a great game, or I'm doing excellent things. And when you're getting double teamed and you're getting, a push by somebody else, and it's being noticed, and he's being noticed by his gameplay. And that's why I think this football team, like I said, reminds me of our team, because we had players on that defense, but we were kind of like the no name. We didn't have some big, gigantic star that's making $10 million a year or making a whole lot of money. We were just, the white collar guy with the lunchbox coming to work every day and doing our job, and then giving the ball back to the offense so they can put points on the board, because defensive teams wins championships. I don't think a lot of people respect Cincinnati because we haven't won a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. We've been to 3, but we haven't won one. And I think that if this football team brings a championship back to Cincinnati, I think that we'll hear a lot of more respects from people. But until that happens, they just got to keep fighting, keep playing each week, because they're going to have their due. It's going to happen.
Well, I would love to know how you just kind of navigated through when you thought that you did a really great job or you executed really well throughout a game and no one said anything to you or gave you that kind of respect. How did you pull from within and continue to fuel yourself throughout the rest of the season or the rest of the game if that never came for you, that respect?
Well, I think once a teammate or coach told me that job well done, the rest of the stuff didn't matter. And it was hard because, I'm in my second or third year in the league. We're going to the Super Bowl, and there were still safeties out there getting all the recognition. The Ronnie Lotts, the Dennis Smith, the Joey Browners, a lot of these guys were still getting recognition. And then there's David. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing exactly what these guys are doing, and sometimes even better. But then when I heard my teammates tell me that, it's a team game, and it's a team game, but individually you want to be the best that you could be. And you want somebody to say, "Good job, David," or "That a boy." And right now, win a championship and do what you're supposed to do. And all the "That a boys" and good jobs will come from the rest of the league. But, you have nothing to prove. Those guys in that locker room know exactly what Reader and every other player on that defensive side of the ball is doing. And I'm going to say it until we win a championship, and probably from there on, the offense is there to put points on the board. Our defense is to stop people from scoring, and we've been doing a good job with that. So let the accolades come when they come. We just keep playing football.
And this upcoming game on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road, they're looking for their 6th straight win, but they've got to deal with Tom Brady, who has been in the league for so long. He's older than Zack Taylor and most of Zack Taylor's coaching staff. So it seems like not a lot of defensive schemes or looks would fool him. What do you think would be the key to, maybe slowing down the game or stopping Brady in his tracks and making him have to rethink certain things that he wouldn't normally have to do?
Well, this is a tough job because we're playing against a guy that's seen just about every type of defense
Yeah.
football can throw at him. They don't call him the GOAT for nothing. They don't call him the ageless one for nothing. But I think it's going to be one of those football games where, try to make Tom one-dimensional. Try to make their offense one-dimensional. Don't let Tom Brady beat you with deep throws. We haven't given up a lot of deep throws throughout the year. If you're going to beat Tom Brady, you're going to have to put pressure on him. Make that line have to work. Man-to-man defense is going to have to be tough. Zone blitz is going to have to be tough. Put the ball in somebody else's hand and let them beat you. Don't let Tom beat you. And like I said, you can throw everything at Tom because the kitchen sink has already been thrown at him. The guy's, he's like I said, he's not Tom Brady for nothing. And just look at the old film. Look at other films of teams, what they've done to him. Look what the 49ers did to him. Once again, can't afford to let Tom just stand there and throw the football. We got to put pressure on him, make him uncomfortable. And he's got to be on his backside more than once in this game. And I think if you put a lot of heat on him and, challenge his, toughness and his longevity of playing football, it'd be to our advantage to beat him up and try to get him off the field in 3 downs.
I know that some of the players on the Bucs offensive line are banged up. Tom Brady doesn't necessarily seem like he's fully comfortable behind his offensive line right now, especially. As a defensive player, could you tell rather quickly or not whether or not a quarterback was comfortable behind his offensive line? Could you tell the signs?
Well, yeah, you can see that. I mean, I think a lot of it is, the feet from a quarterback when he drops back in his 3 or 5 or 7 step drop. Is he antsy? Is he bouncing around? Is he trying to hurry up and force things? And when you see that, you're putting the pressure on him and you make him do things that you want him to do. But if Tom stands back there and he bounces up and down and he has, 4 or 5 seconds to throw the football, then you find yourself in trouble. But, this guy's been around for a long time. And yes, there are times you see his age. Then there's time you see he can't throw the ball, 70 yards down the field like he used to. But yet, once again, I think it's going to come down to us putting pressure on him constantly throughout the game. And when we get into a 3rd down and long situation, don't give up the 1st down for him to get a chance to, get himself better in the game. We want to take him out of the game often and early so that we can put that $1 million offense back on the field.
And it seems like they are playing some of their best football at such a crucial time in the season. It's December football. They've got just a few games left of the regular season, and they're aiming for that 1 seed. They're battling with the Chiefs and the Bills for that 1 seed. If they continue to play well and win out, they have that tiebreaker over the Chiefs. Do you think that is a possibility for the Cincinnati Bengals? Like how much of a possibility do you think that is? Or do you think that they will have some hiccups along the way?
Well, I think one thing started, and you look at last year's football team, injuries were very, very minimum.
Yeah.
Now we've got some injuries to some key players, but they're not detrimental to the team as far as a guy really can't play, Boyd with the finger, tape it up next to the other one, catch the football. Use your arms, you got to catch a football. Henderson with the, I think is his wrist.
Yes.
Injuries are a key factor. And I think that's why Tom Brady has played so long, because he really hasn't been injured.
Yeah.
This football team is playing the type of football they need to play right now to get to the playoffs. I look at it as every game they play is a playoff game, because if you lose one, it puts you in a step back. But they're right in the thick of this, and they control everything, because if they keep winning, once again, you got to win football games. I don't think anybody's concerned about, the Baltimore game or even, the game after Tampa. It's about Tampa. Take care of Tampa's business, and then you go from there. But this football team is fighting for more than just the number 1 seed. I think it is respect. They're fighting for respect. I heard the comment that Tom said that they're fairly good on defense. I don't think I take that as a negative. I take it as the guy's talking about they're pretty good. He didn't say pretty good. He said fairly good. And if you took it as a negative, And once again, is Tom doing that to get this team riled up, to kind of get them overheated, that they overdo things and make mistakes? No, as a player, when I hear that, I'm saying, okay, one of the best quarterbacks in the league said that we're fairly good. Okay, so what do? We go out on Sunday and we show him how good we really are. Right. But he didn't say it was a okay defense. He said a fairly good defense. So fairly good to me kind of puts you in that same category as a pretty good football team, and that's just the way he explained it. But if they just take care of their business, one play at a time, one possession at a time, and the offense keep doing what they're doing, they're going to come out okay.
And we've heard players on the Cincinnati Bengals squad on both sides, all three sides of the ball, the special teams, offense and defense, where they say, not only do I know exactly what is expected of me on the field, I know what the guy next to me is supposed to do. I know exactly where he's supposed to be and what he's supposed to be doing. How much does that help a player play as fast as humanly possible to be able, and really put them in a position to be able to make those huge, massive, game-changing plays that we've seen from guys like Jermaine Pratt and Jesse Bates, for example?
Well, the thing about football is every individual, you hear the word about there's no I in team. Well, the individual is the I in team. Every individual on this team has to do their job. And I hear those guys say that, daily, when they do their sports shows or when they're on radio, they're on TV, everybody has a responsibility. And when everybody is doing their responsibility, success comes, and that's why I say I give, Mike Hilton the MVP, because a lot of times when they call the blitz package for him to blitz, he gets there. He's in the backfield, and it's a running play and he makes a tackle in the backfield on big backs. So as long as everybody's doing their job, and then when Mike Hilton blitz, they're expecting him to get home. They're expecting him to get there. When he gets there, he makes a play and everybody's doing their job. But Mike Hilton started that. So the individual on that side of the ball has to do their job. This football team is gifted with a lot of young talent. And I always said it, they don't know better yet. When you get older, you start realizing, oh, man, the body is hurting. This is happening. Then they start knowing better. But right now, they don't know better. They just know go out and play and do your job. And when you can all do that, and I'm going back to our team back in the 80s, our Super Bowl team, everybody had a job to do. Nobody was concerned about how much money the other guy made, how much money you didn't make, how big your car was, how big your house was. It was, we got to show up on Sunday to get the job done, and everybody's got to participate. So that's what this football team is doing now. One play, one game at a time.
They seem like they have a lot of fun together. I'm sure that you saw all the interviews, the one specifically from Jesse Bates talking about how they had the off day and he came in at 9:30 and everybody else was already in the locker room. Was the 89 team, was it similar as far as you guys enjoying each other's company and wanting to be around each other as much as possible? Was it?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I'm telling you, it was a family affair.
Yeah.
We all had families at home, but that football team was the brotherhood. It was the family. We couldn't wait to get into the locker room for somebody to tell a joke about somebody. Something happened the night before, something happened last week. Somebody was going to say something, get everybody laughing. And that kind of camaraderie doesn't go away. We still have that same camaraderie with the guys that I played with that are still in Cincinnati. We say the same thing. As soon as we see somebody, oh, man, remember this, remember that. So, yeah, I could see this football team and I hear their stories because you know what, that when you go to work, I mean, it's almost like a child being in a school with a teacher more than with their parent. So that kid becomes a child of that teacher because that teacher's seen that kid so long. Well, that's how it is here. Yeah, I go home to my wife and my kids, but I'm at home and the kids are probably in bed. So I'm getting ready to go to bed. And then I wake up tomorrow and I'm at the practice for the next 8, 9, 10 hours. Right. So I'm with those guys more than I'm with my family. So it becomes a brotherhood. And these guys are really gelled and there's no egos. All the egos have been left somewhere else because all these guys are fighting for each other and fighting for this franchise.
I know they don't realize it, or maybe they do. I don't know if they realize it right in this moment, just the memories that will probably stick with them for decades to come. But how special is that for you to be able to hold on to those memories and be able to revisit that time in your life as often as you can?
Oh, let me tell you, it's I come down to the Bengals stadium and I'm obviously working for the NFL, so I'm up in the press box. But before I get to the press box, I'll see some former players, some people that have been around a long time, even fans that cheered for me back in the 80s and 90s. I'll see those people. And it's like, oh my gosh, I remember you. You used to be the guy that sat behind me, used to heckle me, but you were a Bengal fan. And then I'll see a player and I'm thinking, oh man, you look good, man. I mean, I know we can't get out there and play, but I know that you're never going to forget those memories. Those memories will always come up. And I remember the one big memory was the last time the Bengals been to the Super Bowl outside of last year's team. People would always ask me that. I mean, like, oh man, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. Well, guess what? They don't ask that question anymore. It's been answered. The last time they've been to the Super Bowl was last year. So as a player, these memories for these guys will be here for a long time. So when they're in their 50s and 60s and 70s, they can look back and go, man, remember when we did this in the locker room? Remember when we said that? Hey, remember that interview we did with Elise and how she was telling us this? So you're going to remember those things for a long time. And I think that's why this football team is so close as they are.
What do you think? Because you've experienced kind of like how they did last year, going to the Super Bowl, playing in the biggest game of their careers, of your career as well. What is it like when the city embraces you and is celebrating you, and is just so excited for the things that you are doing in your career? What is that like as a player?
Well, I tell you what, I think it's a blessing because without the fans, we would have nobody in the game watching us play. And I didn't play for my paycheck. I played for the people who rooted for me because they were paying some of my salary when they come into the stadium. And so I always thought about how can I make them happy? What do I do outside of making my teammates happy? How do I make a fan happy? We'll go out there and make a big tackle, David, intercept the ball, make a big hit, sack a quarterback, do something special. Because how many times does a person get a chance to make 70,000 people make noise or ask them to be quiet and it happens? And I've done that many a times where I want them to get loud. I put my hands up, make some noise, they get louder. And, I'm telling you, that's where you get your paycheck from, to have that 12th man. And in this case, 70,000 other people on my side trying to rattle the other side of the ball. And that's special. And as a player, you appreciate that.
And I mean, I see you at the stadium every home game. So I know what it's like to, sit right here where I'm standing and watch the game happen on the field. But what was it like standing in the middle of the field and you hear the roar from the crowd? What is that moment? What is that kind of sensation like, I guess?
Wow, I'm trying to figure this out. So could it be where, your wife's having a baby and you're so excited? When your kid graduates from the first grade or from college, you see your kid get married, a birthday, the Christmas gift that your kids are getting, see how excited their faces are. Some of all of that. I mean, it's so mind-boggling that, for us to be on the field and all we're doing is playing football. I mean, it's not like, for me as a player, it's nothing special. We're just out there doing our job, having fun. But to have that electricity that the crowd is giving you, it's like when you get a chill and your body just kind of shakes and you get that freezer and like you're shaking. Yeah. It's like, man, that's it. That is the butterflies in your stomach. You're happy, you're excited. And I'll give you a story when Super Bowl 23, when they called the team out and they introduced my name. The only thing I thought about was picking my feet up off the ground, because if I stumble, everybody and their mom's going to see me fall. Well, that's what it felt like. It felt like just hiding in all the way out there on that field and just making sure that I do everything possible that those people can be proud of and look at me and say, thank you for doing what you're doing. So it is a great feeling. I know I had so many of these different things when I made College Football Hall of Fame. That's what it felt like. It felt so special to get that recognition and have the people so far behind you. And, there's fans across the country, but Cincinnati's got some of the best fans, and they scream their hearts out for their football team.
No, they certainly do. And I'm so glad you explained it in a way that everyone can understand and relate, because I have been trying to figure out what that would be like. I don't know if I would never want to be in that position, because that would be too much attention for me. But I've always wondered what that feeling would feel like. And you just explained it perfectly, David.
Well, I tried to give the best way I can, a birthday or graduation, or
Yes.
just, your wife having a baby, that first child popping out, you're like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? I'm so excited. And then it's like, okay, well, now we got to do it again. Where's the next baby? Whatever. But anyway, I think it's special though, when you can feel the roar, when you can feel the electricity. And I've been on that field many a times where standing on the sideline and the crowd just gets so loud that you can't even hear your own heartbeat. That's when people are behind you.
Absolutely. And I have one more question for you, David. What do you make of the evolution of Zack Taylor? Because when he came in, he had no experience as a head coach. He had a lot of trouble with the roster that he inherited. Obviously, he's flipped the roster and added players that fit his scheme a lot better, and Lou Anarumo's scheme and Brian Callahan as well. But what do you think of the job that he has done, looking at him starting in 2019 to now?
Well, when you first come into a program, you want to put your stamp on it.
Yeah.
And NFL is a little different than it is college or high school, because those players are there for 3 years and they're gone. 4 years are gone. We're talking about guys who are going to be at 5, 10, years of playing football. So you got to find some kind of balance. So you're recruiting you're drafting players that are similar to the players that you have. And I think that's what he's done. I think what he's done is he's put his stamp on it. And so he's bringing in players that he believes that can emulate or be like the other guys that are on the team. And then he gets rid of players, not because he hates them, but that guy doesn't fit what he is trying to mold in this franchise. And new to head coaching, what you do when you're a head coach is that you try to find some Zack Taylors as assistant coaches. So he's finding guys out there that are typically like him, think like him, family man, time to go home, not stay there all night. We can get to it tomorrow because football will be here tomorrow. So go home and take care of your family. It's always faith, family, and football first. No matter how you put it, whether it's football, family, faith, or family, football, faith, whatever it is, if he has 12 to 15 coaches that thinks like him, then success is going to happen. If you got somebody outside of thinking differently than what he is, then I don't want you around. And players the same way. Those players have to think exactly what the other players are thinking, because we're trying to win championships. Are you, Joe Mixon, willing to give up 800 yards over the next 4 games to see 4 wins and a chance of a Super Bowl? And if Joe says yes, then is Chase, is Higgins, is the other guy willing to do the same thing? And they say yes, then guess what's going to happen? They're going to have a chance to win a Super Bowl no matter how many yards they have. So that's what he's got, and that's what he's put together as a football program.
David, you're tremendous. Thank you so much.
I try to be.
You are. It's
I try to be.
effortless for you.
I just try to tell the truth. Be honest, tell the truth.
About it.
And just speak from the heart, and the heart says, this is what it is. This is what's going to be. Everybody wants to win, but not everybody's going to win.
Right.
And then you just do the best that you have. And this football team has been challenged. They were challenged earlier, didn't win a couple of games at the beginning. I picked them to win the first 2 games against Pittsburgh and Dallas, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, those were rough.
But I also picked them to maybe struggle against Kansas City and Tennessee, and they beat them both. So, when you talk about the things that you see, so now what happens? This football team has fought everything they can fight. Mm-hmm. And they've got, like I said, they're playing because they don't know anything else. They're just having fun.
It seems like that would be a really good spot to be in as a player.
Oh, yeah. Just go out there and have fun, man. And lay the cards where they're supposed to be. My first 3 years in the league, I think I was just happy to be in the league. I was happy to be on the team.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not just on this team. I got a chance to do something special here. And sure enough, we get to the Super Bowl.
David Fulcher, always one of the best. We appreciate him coming on and sharing his wealth of knowledge with us here. Yes, you guys are used to hearing those player interviews from the locker room. We are here. We are in the locker room today. That will be a separate video, so you just have to subscribe, ring the bell. Cincinnati Bengals Talk is going to have all of the interviews, the latest interviews from today inside the locker room. We will be bringing that to you, so do not worry. It will just be a little bit separate from the OT tonight, but you can always catch that right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. We will see you next week on the OT at 8 o'clock on Thursday.